Kia ora everyone. Welcome to the November webinar. Good to have everyone here. We'll just wait for anyone to turn up. Okay. Just make sure you can hear me okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So we do a webinar every month, or at least I do. And the idea of the webinar is to be able to, I suppose, be able to ask and answer questions. So I think we've sent out a sheet to everyone. If you're interested in me answering specific questions, you'll notice underneath the video here, just underneath the video, there's a link to a Google Doc. Please feel free to chuck in some questions in there. We've got a number of questions like what's hard about the bootcamp and so on, but you can add things in there as we go along. So feel free to click on that link as we're live, and you can add questions in there. But today I haven't got a huge amount of questions. What have I got? I've got about 6 questions, so quite a small number of questions. Also, we've got quite a number of webinars that have been recorded, so please feel free to look back through the ones that we've previously recorded. But look, I'll get started. So kia ora, my name is Rohan. I am one of the co-founders here at Enspiral Dev Academy. My main role is to support students, really. So I meet all our new applicants. I do what we call an interview. It's not really an interview. It's much more a case of me answering questions, making sure you know what you're getting yourself into as a potential student, and so that you can decide whether to come here or not. And the other aspects is obviously look after folks as they study with us, and I'm very interested in getting everyone work, so I do support students in the job hunt as well. So that's my role. Been here from since day one, and it's been a pretty epic journey. So I'll bowl into these questions. The first question is, what is hard about Phase 0 and Bootcamp? And do people find the same things hard? Good question. So the answer is, there are different things that people find hard between Phase 0 and Bootcamp. They are not the same experience. Phase 0 is very much preparation. It takes you through some basic concepts and some basic sort of information that gives you the ability to understand the fundamental building blocks of coding, so that when you turn up to Bootcamp on day one, you have the ability to sit next to someone that's done a fair amount of coding, and you can still work well with them and understand what's going on. But Phase 0 is not something you can get A's in. It is preparation, and it's supposed to be treated like that. However, it's got to be done. So there are 9 modules in Phase 0, and we've designed this to be done from anywhere in the world. So it's delivered online through your browser, but that doesn't mean you have to do it on your own. So Phase 0, we do encourage people to come together, work on it in groups, and you'll get through it much more quickly. But because of people's personal environments and lives and so on, we have designed it so it can be done remotely from anywhere. Particularly for those folks that are in work, you can't just drop tools and do Phase 0 as well, because they're too long out of work. So what you do is that you organize your life around Phase 0, so that you do it in the evenings or you do it in the weekends, and so that you can take yourself through that preparation while still staying in full-time work. I think the hardest thing people find about phase 0 is the discipline. You have to be hugely disciplined to get the work done in the time frames you've got. And you can do phase 0 over 6 months or 6 weeks. But if you're doing it over 6 weeks, it's a full-time job. And if you do it over 6 months, well, maybe it's your evenings and 1 day a weekend is going to be taken up with doing it. So, but it's up to you to pace yourself. But it is, that responsibility is yours. We don't handhold you through that. Although we have teachers and we have stewards and kaiawhina that are supporting you, it is up to you to organize your life around that and make sure it happens. So that's a little bit about phase 0. Bootcamp's different. There's a lot more structure there. Obviously, you come into campus, you're with us, all the time through bootcamp. And let me stress this: bootcamp is a 100% commitment. You can't work. You can't be part of a sports team. You can't do much other than bootcamp. And parents find it tough. But we give parents also special passes as well to do the parent thing. And, obviously morning rituals, evening rituals, putting kids to sleep and so on. This is important for parents to do because when things are unrested at home, you can't concentrate on your work. So we do bend over backwards to accommodate parents, and they have an exceptional time here. But for them, they've got that full-time job also at home. But that's the only excuse. Everything else, you've got to be dedicated to the bootcamp. And look, it's a requirement, but it's also to your benefit as well. I mean, we do a lot of material in a very intensive way, so it's full on. So, what do people find hard about bootcamp? I think it's we go through fast. The material we go through is a lot. And we have these 3 pillars to our school: integrity, kindness, and effort. And you need to have incredibly high integrity, a ton of kindness for yourself and your colleagues, and the effort you put in will go past your perceived limitations. And we will actually get to that point between your perceived limitations and your actual limitations. If you don't put in that effort, you won't succeed, and it'll take you longer to find work, or you may not find work. And what's important is that we provide an environment that's optimal to learning, but it's up to you to take that opportunity and take it as far as you can. And I think people find bootcamp tough on the workload, but those people that do put in the effort get the results, and that's the majority of people. It's very unusual for us to see people dropping out when they come into bootcamp. What other things do people find hard in bootcamp? I think it's pretty relentless. So the physical aspect of it is the fact that for 7 days a week, pretty much, 7 days a week for 9 weeks, you're with us and you're working. Your weekends are spent sleeping, exercising, and coding. Often people coming back in here or coding at home. Your evenings are eating, exercising, and coding. Your mornings are maybe exercising and coding. Everything we do here is focused on that, achieving that goal of building those foundation building blocks to get you work in tech. So other things that people find hard in bootcamp, I think the personal relationships are tough because we put you in this learning environment and you're with other people, and usually we're relatively used to learning on our own, but learning with other people and accommodating other people's needs can be tough, but it's a really important lesson to learn. And that can be difficult, but it's also a delightful experience. Other things that bootcamp, getting sick's tough on bootcamp. I would recommend it because we ask you to power through it. So if you've got a cold, take some painkillers, a bit of garlic and lemon, and come on in. Those are some of the things that people find hard. What's job hunting like, and what will this sector be like in the future? Cool, another good question. So job hunting's tough, it's very different to coding. Coding's got some logic to it and you're in control most of the time. But job hunting's not. You are really in a performance situation. You're going out to industry and you're selling yourself, and that's tough. It's tough for the ego, it's tough for people's self-esteem, but I do a lot of work with graduates on that. So I run something called Careers Week. I also support people that want it into work. So I do a lot of ongoing support, and that's up to you to come and get that from me as well. But Dev Academy is constantly growing its connections with industry. We don't get people jobs. Like, I won't hand you a job at the end of it. We can't do that. We won't do that. We want industry to choose you and to hire you. That's important, and we've made that very, very clear. But we will support you with all of those tools and so on, like a CV, a cover letter, understanding the market, where to meet people and how to network, and also things like a ton of interviewing. We do a lot of interviewing here at Dev Academy. And so look, job hunting is a performance, and it's very, very different to coding. Yeah, we've been doing this a while now. We've got over an 88% employment rate, and we're building that. We're making that stronger, and we're getting better and better at what we do. So job hunting is tough, but it's it's rewarding as well at the end. And yeah, Dev Academy does get people work as software developers. That's what we're focused on. That 88% employment rate is measuring software development. We're not measuring working as a barista or even as a project manager. What will the sector look like in the future? I think the sector's going to change like any other, to be honest. I think software development will be automated more and more, as we are seeing everything being automated. But I also think it's a pretty safe bet. I think software development it's got a long way to go, and I think maybe not just the software aspects, but I also think this integration with hardware and the automation of many, many things in many industries is going to create such a need for the skill set. And I think we're only just we're seeing that now, but I think it's going to hugely hockey stick when every industry starts to get juxtaposed or gets challenged by this technology wave. As you know, we've seen things like TV and media being automated or being digitized more and more, and how that's affected newspapers and TV and so on. That's one industry that's right in front of us now, but I think every industry is going to go through this. And one of the reasons why we do Dev Academy is we're particularly concerned with the state of primary produce in this country, and the fact that as a country we haven't seemed to have noticed the fact that there are a lot of challenges out there for that industry and it growing up and it evolving, and in fact potentially for it really diminishing in its need in a worldwide market. Considering that we're now producing tons of proteins and meats and so on in the lab, and yep, it'll take some time for that to catch on. And yep, I turn my nose up it, but that market's not for us. It's for everyone else. And where does our primary produce goes? Well, it goes to everyone else. So that's where the challenge lies. So what is New Zealand going to do about this? I think we should get really good at automation, machine learning, software development, and filling those high-end needs that are going to arise out of the sectors that we work in. I could say a lot about the future of this sector. I also don't think about tech as its own sector. I think about all the tech that's outside of its sector. You've got the Xeros and Trade Me's, which are very much firmly in the tech sector, but then you've got the Fonterras or the Air New Zealands, which are tech companies now. You know, one's an airline and one's a milk producing company, but they have huge technical teams. The warehouse has a huge technical team. Your insurance companies are insurers, but they have massive technical teams, same as banks. And I don't think of the tech sector as just being a sector in itself. It's every sector, and I think that's incredibly exciting as well. Anyway, let's move on. Success stories from graduates. What are they doing now? Yeah, I always get asked this question. Look, some recent ones. We recently had a wonderful guy who's just been hired into Rocket Lab, And I just find that such an exciting story. You know, we've got a space exploration company in New Zealand doing amazing things. And we've got a graduate that I would have, you know, never dreamed being able to sort of work at such an amazingly innovative, and, you know, for me, you know, so space exploration was just so far away, but now it's coming really close to us. That's a really humbling experience, and I know this candidate will absolutely flourish in that environment. They're such a wonderful person. Yeah, I'm recently been really proud of someone I talk about a fair amount, who's an entrepreneur and a business owner, and she owns Banker, and she continues to win accolade after accolade for her amazing ability to lead that company from success to success. And Kindle Flutey is a wonderful inspiration to to us and to everyone, I think, of what you can achieve, and in such a humble way. So you know, that's another success story. I've recently heard of a graduate who followed his dream to work in crypto, and someone gave me some feedback on such what a great impact he has been making on the company he's working for, and that's been great. Just that simple thing of, hey, we've, you know, that statement coming from an employer, this person is such a delight to work with. You know, they were outside of tech and in another sector, in the financial sort of sector, and now they're in tech. It's just such an amazing transition. They're really providing great value. That to me is the simple yet very, very rewarding and amazing thing that people can achieve by just in just a short time frame. I also recently have seen the expansion of Flax Federation, which used to be PowerShop, but now they've slightly changed their the name of their core company, and going through that expansion and just seeing some amazing graduates, but also EDA graduates from quite a long way back, who are now transitioning from their first company into their second company and going to Flux, and just seeing that as an amazing journey as well. And recently they've hired someone who, yeah, I had a very much a soft spot for, and I just thought was such a wonderful person. And yeah, he has went into a startup, and unfortunately they didn't make it, and he's now been picked up by a good friend of mine at Flax Federation, and yeah, they're absolutely wrapped, and just, you know, came to me and said, hey, you know, we're so excited to have this person coming on board. And for me, that's a great success story as well, of just seeing people, not just you know, at a graduate level, but also to see them succeeding after a couple of years, and then transitioning and making such an impact after that as well. So that's a very rewarding aspect of it too. So yeah, we have a lot of success stories. Some of them I don't even hear about. You know, you hear through the grapevine that a graduate has just started a role, and you didn't even know that. And recently we had someone that really struggled to find work, and in fact started in a role, but did not really feel satisfied in it because of the lack of mentorship. And they had a really tough time leaving that job, because it was, you know, it was a job, and they felt like you know, it was letting the company down, and they also were quite scared about getting the next job, considering they'd only been there 2 months, and it took them another 4 or 5 months to get work. So to see them now in an amazing job in which they're getting mentorship is exceptional as well, and I think it's a pretty awesome success story. But we do see people transitioning from many backgrounds, from you know, big baristas with double degrees or double majors, or even baristas with no tertiary education, you know, butchers, business owners, accountants, lawyers, surgeons even, you know, people with computer science degrees behind them already, and people with an arts background, or people with a labouring and construction background. What I've noticed is everyone comes from this different pathway and this different journey, and they meet here, and they put in that amazing amount of effort and commitment, and they give space to each other's journey and space to not judge each other and to learn in this very, very intensive place. And they come out at very different places as well. They graduate with different levels of technical skills, but different levels of non-technical skills as well. And some people are fantastic project managers, team leads, motivators of people, the glue in a team, these sorts of traits. And we bring that out of people through this program, and you can really investigate who you are in yourself, so that when you're going out into industry, we aren't benchmarking the best coders in the world. What we're benchmarking is a standard and quality that the sector needs, and that's all very, very different. So I'd just like to really get you to think about that. We're not graduating a vanilla type of person. We're graduating a diverse group of people that think differently, that have different set of skills and are different, and that's what the market wants. Anyway, I'll go on to the next question. What's the interview process like? So the interview process is fairly easy. It's not challenging. We don't test you. The interview process after you apply is much more like a Q&A. So candidates, students, prospective students are sitting down with me or Jack, my colleague, and asking us many, many questions. What's the curriculum like? What's it going to be like for me? What am I going to find it hard? Why do people fail? How do I pay for this? These sorts of things. So an interview is a very relaxed conversation. But our main goal for Jack and I is for you to be able to make a decision, and for you to have all the information to be able to make that decision. Because it is a big decision. It's a big leap to come to Dev Academy and dedicate this time and change career or upgrade your career or change tact in some way. It's a big investment financially and via time. So we want you to have all of that information. So the interview process is much more around answering your questions than us testing you. However, we do manage your expectations. So if we can see something in you that is going to be a barrier in any way to learning, graduating, getting employment, we will address it then and there as well. We don't do this to be mean, but we do this so that you can start focusing on making any weakness or any vulnerability a strength. And that's a big part around how we work. So that's what the interview process is like. And from there, we can work through onboarding and so on, and getting you into start that remote style learning, or the phase 0. So tell me a little bit about the actual program and what we do. So a lot of JavaScript here. So we do a full stack software development program. So we start off with the UI UX, so the user interface, understanding the interface, understanding that people sit in front of these interfaces and have a consciousness there, and they're understanding, where do I go next, and they're thinking about, why am I at this website, and where are things, where is the information that I want, and that's the experience that I'm having. Am I enjoying my experience? Am I enjoying this flow and finding things and getting the information I need? And the interface is what we interact with. And then you start to get into HTML and CSS. So HTML is a little bit about the sort of definition and so on, and the CSS is the much more around the layout and structure of the actual what you can see. And CSS also manages things like, what device am I on and what will I look like on these different devices. And then you start to get in a bit of functionality, and we've got JavaScript, and we've got a couple of frameworks or a couple of tool sets that we use in the front end. We focus heavily on the React framework with Redux. And you might have heard of Ember and Angular. These are other front-end frameworks that are great, no problem with them. We've just chosen to do React because it's pretty useful right now, and there's a lot of need for it, and it's certainly the flavor of the moment. Not that we don't like Angular or Ember or even Vue, we do. It's just that we've got to choose something to do on that front end, and React is that thing that we've chosen. So we do JavaScript on the back end as well, using Node. And that's a very useful language. Again, we're not against things like .NET or Ruby, which we used to teach. It's just that we've chosen to do full stack JavaScript so that we can take people further. Node is also a fantastic language as well, and you can learn a lot from studying Node. And we look at it things like looking at it in an object-oriented way or a functional way, and you can use Node in both of those ways as well. We delve into databases, and we do a lot of work with data. We use Express servers. We use Connects to delve into that data. You might have heard of SQL and so on. So we use something similar but slightly different. And a lot of what you'll learn with us is great and useful, and you can build fully fledged apps and with it, mobile web apps and so on. And in itself, it's incredibly useful. But bear in mind that you'll also have to learn more. You don't, as a software developer, you're always learning, and we teach you a lot about how to learn and about what that means over your lifetime. Because when you graduate from Dev Academy, it's highly likely, even if you did all of the technologies that we do here, that you have to just learn how the company you're going into does things, and it will be different to how we've done things. Nothing's ever the same, but it's also highly likely you have to change stack and have to learn another technology or a language, whether that's .NET, Ruby, Python, PHP, Java even. There's many things that you'll have to learn throughout your lifetime, and don't be scared of that. If you're scared of that, probably choose another career, because software development, you're always having to learn. All right, that's a bit about the programs and the course content. That's the end really of the questions people have asked me. It's a bit of a short webinar this week, which is fine. Look, if you're interested, there are many other webinars. We've got a whole list there. I think once a month we've done them. So have a look through. Some of them are pretty long. I think we did one in July that was about an hour and a quarter. That was quite a good one. But look, have a look through those, and if you've got any further questions after looking at the webinar, please feel free to contact us, and we can sit down with you one-on-one and answer those questions. You don't even have to enroll. Just email us at hello@devacademy, or on our contact form you'll be able to get in touch and just say, hey, can I come in and have a half an hour chat? And you'll easily be able to have a chat with myself or with Jack. But we can show you around or whatever. The most important thing is that I think asking whatever you like. We're very open about how we answer questions. We've got nothing to hide here. This course is not for everyone. It is intensive. It is fast-paced. It is quite grueling. It's done with other people, and we are focusing on getting you work at the end of it. So if you want to do something just for fun, I'm not sure we're the right place, because everyone else here is doing this to really get prepared for work. That said, we have had a couple of people that have been very interested, in particular in entrepreneurship and so on, and they have done this knowing that they're graduating, they're not job hunting, but they've put their heart and soul into it all the same. Cool. Well, that brings it to an end. We've got a cohort starting on the 8th of January. If you want to join that cohort, I'd say this week is the very last occasion, or the very last time frame in which you could join that cohort. If you were wanting to join that January cohort, and that's only really 7 to 8 weeks away, 7 to 8 weeks away, I'd expect you to have some pretty strong technical foundation to get onto that cohort, because you've got to do a lot of work. Either that, or you've got the ability to work full-time up until the start of Bootcamp. And the one after that, we've got one starting in March and another one starting in May. So we've got 5 cohorts next year, and look, they'll fill up relatively quickly. So get in, have a conversation with us, and yeah, that brings it to an end. It's been great, and we'll catch people later. Ka kite.